Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to be chit-chatting and applying makeup. And when I started filming this, I didn't realize that I actually grabbed several products that I talked about in my April favorites video for this video. I was just kind of grabbing products that a lot of you guys have asked me to talk more about because I've talked about them in past videos, and so I grabbed those because I felt like this would be a great opportunity to do that. But then I realized, hey, this was in my favorites, this was in my favorites, this was in my favorites. So I'm gonna title this Playing with Makeup from My Favorites or something like that. Anyway, you get the point. I create this makeup look. I hope you guys enjoy it. I've been wearing this eye makeup look a lot. I love it. I think it's perfect for summer. I don't want this intro to be any longer, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to talk about what I have on my skin currently, I just moisturized with the Neutrogena Wrinkle Rapid Repair cream, and then I used the SPF this morning. I dropped my daughter off at school and I applied a little bit of concealer, so I have a little bit of concealer under my eyes, but I don't have any foundation on. I have a little bit of eyebrow makeup, but that is it. So I'm going to go in with a primer. I am going to use the Murad Invisible, Perfecting Shield SPF of 30. Just going to take one pump and I'm just going to apply this kind of in the center of my face. Since I use that Neutrogena with SPF, I'm not really too concerned about getting my SPF from this product, but I do like the primer benefits of it, so I'm going to put this just in the center of my face. One product I'm excited to purchase, I tried it and I liked it, was the Super Goop Unseen Sunscreen. And I was going to purchase it, and then I remembered that I had this, which is pretty similar to it, and I remember really liking this, but you know, I just get so many products that things just get tossed to the side, and then I forget about them. So I pulled this guy out and I've been using him the last few days. So let's talk about this foundation. So this is what the foundation looks like. It does come with a little applicator here, which I just toss aside. I never use those. They're really kind of poor quality in my opinion. I have the shade Neutral Beige, Light, Medium, Cool. So I have really been enjoying this foundation a lot. I've had it for at least a month, maybe 6 weeks or longer. I think it just looks so beautiful on the skin. It just makes your skin look very healthy and natural. It's, I can't really categorize it in a matte finish, and I can't really categorize it in like a dewy glow. It's kind of somewhere in between, which is really kind of my favorite finish of foundations. I feel like Wet n Wild has really stepped up their game with foundations. I like their, is it the Photo Focus foundation? That's really nice. I like to use the IT Cosmetics brush, the dual ended, to apply this. I've tried with the Beauty Blender too, and I just feel like I get a little bit more coverage when I use a brush, so that's what we're gonna do. And I am gonna press this. I'm gonna kind of put my finger in there. I haven't used it in about a week, and it's kind of, it just needs a little bit of working with. There you go. So if you feel like the top layer's dried up a little bit, you can just use your finger and press it in there, and that's just gonna kind of get all that foundation at the bottom to come up. I like this foundation because it's really quick and easy to apply. Like, it doesn't take any time at all, and it blends in so easily. I think the color that I got is the perfect shade for me. I always like to start in the center of my face. I know I say this in a lot of videos, so if this is like your 10th time hearing it, my apologies, but if you're new to my channel, I like to give really detailed instructions on how I apply and why I apply it that way. So you'll hear me say a lot of the same things, but I always start in the center of my face because that's where we tend to have the most discoloration, the most redness, or blemishes that we need to cover. And obviously the first place you put your brush is where you're going to get the most product to apply. As you work your way out to the perimeter of your face, you're going to have less on your brush, and we tend to not really need as much there, so it's a good way to kind of seamlessly blend that foundation out. Okay, I'm just going to apply a little bit on my nose here. I feel like the coverage of this is a good solid natural to medium. It definitely gives decent coverage, like it'll even everything out, and if you don't have a lot of severe blemishes or things to cover, you're going to be happy with the amount of coverage. I wouldn't call this a full coverage foundation though, so if you like something, just a completely flawless coverage where you can't see any of your skin underneath, this might not be one that you'll like. But if you like kind of more of a natural foundation that gives decent coverage but still looks a little bit more natural, I think this is a really, really nice one. Okay, and I'm just going to apply a little bit more in the center of my face. I do feel like this foundation is buildable to an extent. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Now concealer, I am going to add a little bit more concealer from what I had on this morning. This morning I used the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. I'm going to go in with the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Super Concealer and just conceal a tad bit more and brighten up under the eye. I really enjoy this foundation a lot. I like the texture of it. It's not heavy. It feels very hydrating, almost gel-like. And the color that I have is called Moderately Fair, and as you can see, it's a really nice brightening concealer. So sometimes I'll use this on top of another concealer just to give a little bit of brightness, but I can certainly use this by itself. I don't necessarily have to use another concealer underneath it. And I'm just using my fingers to apply it and taking whatever is left over on my lid. Before I set with powder, I'm going to go in and contour because I am using a cream contour product. I don't want to powder until I have applied this. So this is the Cushion Contour by Wet n Wild, and I like to use this Real Techniques. It's called the Expert Face Brush to apply it, and then I'll go in with a beauty blender to blend it out. But I feel like this gives me about the right size and density that I want to pick up the product and get it right where I want it. So I kind of just bounce it in the cushion and start here at my hairline, kind of about where the center of my ear is, if you were to imagine that line, and just bring it over. I don't bring it all the way over. I kind of stop, I don't know, right about where the apple of my cheeks would start. And I am going to apply a little bit on the side of my nose. Okay, now we're going to just go ahead and blend this out so it doesn't look crazy. And I'm just taking a beauty blender and just really pouncing it directly on top of it. Nothing fancy here, nothing tricky, very easy. That's why I like this product, because I feel like it is a very easy contour cream product. Sometimes I feel like they can get real tricky. And I'm seeing a little bit of creasing under the eye, so I'm going to go in and blend that with my beauty blender. As you can see, that just gives a really nice definition of your facial structure. Okay, I'm going to set everything in place, and I'm going to use this powder by IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores. I am excited to try this. For some reason or another, I have not tried this product. And I know that it's a fan favorite, very popular. I just have several setting powders, and I've kind of reached the point where, you know, obviously I know I need to be trying new products, but I get to a point where I don't want to buy. I just feel a little wasteful, you know, if I have 10 loose setting powders, I don't need all of those, you know? All right, and I'm going to use this brush by IT Cosmetics. I am loving this brush. I'm actually a little disappointed that I didn't talk about it in my favorites video because I love it so much. This is by IT Cosmetics, and it is the number 8 Wand Ball Powder, Heavenly Luxe Wand Ball Powder. And this was gifted to me from QVC, and I love it, you guys. It is so nice and so soft. I'm kind of convinced that IT Cosmetics brushes are becoming my favorite line of brushes. They're just so soft. Oh, it feels so good. I mean, I could just sit here all day and do this. Okay, ooh, I like this powder. It's very light, and it does seem to be kind of smoothing out and making me look poreless. It's sheer, it disappears real easily on the skin, which is something I like. I don't like a powder that looks chalky or too white or doesn't just disappear. You know, you want something that is very lightweight and it just sets everything, mattifies a little bit, and then just disappear. What is wrong with me? Disappears. Okay, I feel like I do need to set under my eyes though, because I feel like I'm getting a little bit of creasing. I'm just going to use this concealer brush, which is a little more dense than I would normally use to set under the eye, but I think this powder is light enough to where I can, and it's not going to magnify any fine lines or anything like that. All right. Hey, I'm kind of liking the way the skin looks. I feel like it looks very even and perfected, but still very natural. For eyes, let's go in with eyes. So I'm going to take the Revlon Color Stay eyeshadow primer, and I just put it between my 2 middle fingers here and apply on my eyelid. I like to make sure I rub it in real good so it's sheer so you don't really see it. Okay, so while I love this palette, the 2 shadows that are lacking that are pretty essential to me are a brow highlight and a contour, I guess, a crease color. I don't feel like there's a really good one for either. This really light one over here is way too shimmery and actually is a little bit more golden than it looks here. And the only shade that I think could kind of be a crease color would be this one, but it's just too dark for what I want. So I did bring my basic Viseart neutral matte palette, and I'm going to use this for brow highlight and contour. Okay, so first I'm just going to kind of set everything, and I'm going to use this shade right here, which is just a little bit lighter than my skin tone, and we're just going to quickly dust that all over the eyelid. Okay, then we're going to go in with our crease color, and I'm going to start with this shade right here, which is a really soft mid-tone peachy shade, and I'm just going to work this into my crease. Back and forth, back and forth. right until you get about that level. Okay, so as you can see, the crease color is very peachy, very warm. I'm going to go ahead and transition over to the Pat McGrath palette. I think these shades are so beautiful and the texture is so nice. I am going to start with, let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to start with this really like golden bronze right here. There's two shades that I would call bronze in this palette, this one and this one. The difference between the two, and it's hard to tell because the lights are so bright that it's kind of, and that these are so shimmery that it's kind of reflecting and not showing you the true shade. I'll see if I can take a picture with my phone so you can see a better representation, but this is a lot more like bronzy brown, and this has a lot more like gold in it. So we're gonna use this one because I like something really bright. We're gonna start with that one. So I'm gonna pack my 213 brush by MAC, I'm gonna load it up, tap it off, and we are just gonna go and pack this on. We are starting in the center of my eyelid and working my way towards my inner corner. I'm going to leave a little bit of my inner corner bare because I am going to go in with a brighter shade to brighten it up. And honestly, if you took it all the way over, it would be totally fine because you could still go over it with a brighter shade and get the same effect. So I'm just going to kind of place that centered towards almost the inner corner. Do you see how pigmented and rich these colors are? I mean, they are just so beautiful. Pack, pack, pack. If you notice, I'm just kind of pressing my brush on my eyelid. That's how you're going to get the most product to deposit on your eyelid. If you just sweep back and forth like this, you're really just shearing and blending the product out. So while that is a great technique for your crease, when you're trying to pack on eyelid color, you really just want to pack it on. Press, press, press. Okay. So we are left with that. Next, I'm going to go in with a shade that's a tiny bit more bronze, and I'm going to pack this on the outer part of my eyelid right here. The two shades look very similar. This just is like the slightest bit deeper. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to brighten the inner corner, and I'm going to use this shade right here. It's so beautiful. It's a very light, bright, shimmery shade, but it has a little bit of gold to it. And I'm going to pop that right here in the inner corner, just like so. Okay, so now we're left with about this. I want to deepen up the outer corner, so I'm going to take a crease brush that is a little bit more precise than the one I used for my first crease color. I'm actually going to take two brushes now that I think about it. Whoa, little slippery hands here. I'm going to use the Sigma brush. It is the E20 short shader, and then I'm going to blend it out with the MAC 221 brush. Because I'm going to go in with this extremely dark shade right here, I want a small tiny brush that's going to help me control where that product goes. And I don't want to take a crease brush because I run the risk of it being a big sloppy mess. So we're going to go in with this and load up our brush, tap it off, and I'm basically going to kind of carve out where I want that color. So we're going to start right here in the outer corner, and then I'm just going to pull it right down to my lash line. You can almost imagine the shape of a V here, okay? So we're kind of starting here, we're going down, and then creating a V, connecting it to the lash line. And I'm not taking it too far over. I don't want that darkness to be too heavy, too far over. Because the shape of my eyes, I really want to keep them open and make them appear a little larger. All right, then next I'm going to go in with this brush. I have added nothing to it. What you're seeing here is just a kind of a dirty brush really from a past application. And then I'm going to go and I'm just going to go back and forth to soften that. You still want it to be pretty defined. You don't want to blend it to the point where it just completely muddies and blends with everything else. You want to see that definition, but you want it to obviously have a much softer edge. You can see how pigmented and rich that brown is. I mean, if you remember, I only kept it on the outer very tiny corner, but as I blend, it just pulls it over. So these are really nice and just really great quality shadows. But you just have to be careful not to apply too much and not to apply it in the areas you don't want it to be. So that's what you get. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So now it's time to do the brow highlight. For some reason, I always like to do this as the last step to the eyeshadow. And I think that is because I like to have something to kind of soften that crease color. If I feel like the crease color has gotten too heavy, going in with your brow highlight at the very end is just going to be a nice way to soften and diffuse that a little bit. So I'm going to go in with the 252 brush just because it has a nice like flat edge here and I can really get right underneath the brow where I want it. And I'm going to mix these two shades. I'm going to use this really bright white mixed in with this shade that's just a little bit lighter than my skin. Mix the two together and just apply that right underneath my eyebrow. Then what you can do, if you want to clean up the edge a little bit, you can take this same brush because it has a nice flat edge. Take a shadow. I'm going to use the shade that's a little bit lighter than my skin. Oh, here you go. and I'm just gonna kind of run it up here. Some people use tape, and that's gonna give you a really nice, clean, crisp line. I don't do that. I don't know. I like it to be a little softer. I don't want it to be too perfect and cut, if that makes sense. So this is just a nice way to just soften it a little bit and keep it kind of lifted. For a liner, for the upper lash line, I'm going to use this pencil. It's just a deep, like rich kind of Bordeaux shade. And I'm going to line pretty much just the outer half of my eyelid, lash line, and then I'm going to go in and smoke it out with shadow. So I don't want the liner to look really defined. I'm not doing necessarily a winged cat eye. I will lift it a little bit up and kind of wing it out a tiny bit, but I'm using a pencil and I want it to look a lot softer than a liquid pen. All right, so I'm going to take this shade and I am just going to kind of run it right over my lash line, just on the outer part. You don't have to be too careful about it. In fact, this is not a very sharp pencil, so it kind of just created a sloppy little mess there. But what I'm going to do is take this brush, the Sigma brush that I used for my corner, and I am going to just go over that with the darkest shade in the palette, the one that we used in the outer corner, which is right here. Oops, which is right here. The reason I put that pencil down first is because it's emollient and creamy, so it's going to give the shadow something to adhere to, so that your liner is going to look more pronounced than if I just did the shadow. And I'm just going to pretty much go right over that and kind of pull it up a little bit. So you can see what that does. It just creates a very soft, smoky liner. And then I'm even going to go and kind of soften out the edge here because that looks, there we go. For lower lashes, I'm going to line my eyes with this other shade. It's just like a really nude, like kind of bright, pinky flesh tone color. It's not really flesh tone, actually. It's pretty bright, but it has a little bit of a pink hue to it. And for my lower lash line, I'm going to go with the Flower Beauty, what are these called? Vinyl Eyes Gel Eyeliners. Love these. This was in my favorites. And this is the shade Bronzed Out. And I'm just going to line my lower lash line with this pencil. These are very soft and creamy, so they just go on so effortlessly. I do like to go over it with an eyeshadow for a couple reasons really, to set it and to kind of also soften and smoke it out a bit. And I am going to go in with this shade here, which is this really warm, matte kind of, is this like a saddle color? I'm thinking of the name Saddle because MAC has a shade like that that's not as quite as dark as that, but it looks just like that, and it's called Saddle. And I'm going to just run this over the liner. All right, friends, we are getting there. And then I am going to apply my favorite mascara, the Chanel Le Volume, on my lower lash line. When I don't have eyelash extensions, this mascara is my life. This just gives me lashes that are not there. My favorite combo is this with the Dior Lash Primer, you guys. It is life-changing. Two of the most expensive mascara products, but well worth the price in my opinion. Well worth the price. Okay. Now, since I have that contour on, I'm not going to add any bronzer because that contour is pretty warm. So I'm just going to go in with my blush, and I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is called the Blush Trio, and Pool Party is the shade. And believe it or not, I'm going to use this pink here. It looks really bright, but it actually applies a lot lighter than it looks. And I'm using this IT Cosmetics No. 4 French Boutique Blush Brush. Love this brush. Smile, and I'm just going to kind of pop this right on the apples of my cheek. And I just brush down, like, I put it on the apples of my cheeks and I move my hand up, but my brush strokes are down, if that makes sense. I'm telling you guys, these IT Cosmetics face brushes are just so nice. They just feel so good. I could literally sit here all day and do this. I probably would look like a little clown, but all right, beautiful. We are almost there, you guys. For lips, I want something pretty and pink, kind of like a Barbie doll pink. I really like a bright bronze, like golden eye with a bright pink lip. I think it's so pretty. Sometimes if you're too matchy-matchy and you do a bronze lip with a bronze eye, you just have this very monochromatic look, and I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like the cheeks and the lips could be a little bit more colorful. So I'm using this shade by Mary Kay. It is the Love Me Pink Rose Amour. They gave me such a great gift bag of tons of lipsticks, and I kind of picked out the shades that I know I will wear, and then the rest of them I'm going to include in a giveaway for you guys. I actually am so excited because I have a lot of products put together that have been gifted to me that I want to pass on to you guys. So be sure and look out for that giveaway. Follow me on Instagram. I'll definitely be announcing it in a video, but I'll also be announcing it on Instagram. and on Facebook. You can find me at Lisa J Makeup on both. So that'll be coming up in the next probably 2 weeks. You'll see that announcement. Okay, so before I do this, I'm going to kind of line my lips with this Buxom lip crayon. This is the shade Las Vegas, I believe. It's called Full On Lipstick, so it's actually a lipstick, but I like to use it as liner too. I really am going to go all over my lips, but I'm making sure to really define my lip line with this. I love these. They have a nice kind of minty smell to them. They're so easy to apply. I feel like it's multifunctional because it can serve as a lip liner, a softer lip liner, but also lipstick. And then I'm going to go over it with this Mary Kay color. It looks so pretty. Look at that. Oh, they feel good. So you definitely have to build this lipstick up. I think at first application, it's kind of more on the sheer-ish side. I wouldn't call this a sheer lipstick, but I wouldn't call it like, bam, out of the gate, tons of pigment. But you can build it. So let me show you if you build it, what it looks like. So let's see. This is one little kind of sheer swipe. And then if you build it, you can build it to about that level. I think it's really pretty. It feels really nice and soft and lightweight. It doesn't feel dry or matte, and it doesn't feel like a thick cream either. It feels very lightweight and sheer, if that makes sense. Like the texture feels sheer. Ooh, I kind of like this look. It kind of goes with my earrings. Yay! I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know your thoughts down below. As far as the foundation, I love this foundation. I talked about it in my favorites, and I hope you guys can see why. I think it just gives a very natural finish, but gives good coverage. I just like the way my skin looks when I wear this foundation, and it holds up pretty well throughout the day. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Bye, guys!